What's happening, everybody? What's going on? Listen, we're here again. It's Tuesday. It's July 4th. It's time for another episode of The Life of an Entrepreneur. Listen, we're going to have a phenomenal conversation today, as we always do. If you haven't caught the other episodes, you need to be watching the other episodes. I ask that you share this with someone. So if you are watching this live or if you are watching the replay, I ask that you share this with someone. We got a phenomenal guest. His name is Juan Lee. Today we're going to be talking about all things the life of an entrepreneur. So listen, buckle up, get ready to go. Let's get some guidance. Let's get some camaraderie. Let's get some support. Let's talk about what it means to go through this thing called the life of an entrepreneur. Let's go. Yes, indeed. We are back for another episode of The Life of an Entrepreneur. Make sure that you are sharing this with your network. If you are watching it on YouTube, if you're watching it on LinkedIn, if you're watching it on Facebook, share this with someone who is either an entrepreneur or is looking to jump into this life of an entrepreneur. It's a great life. We've talked several times about the fact that it is a journey and that you should enjoy the journey and that you should buckle in and strap in. And there's some things that we talked about along the way. Go back and watch the episode where we talk about 10 things that every entrepreneur should be doing, because those are some things that you need to dig into and be intentional about. Listen, before we bring on our guest, a phenomenal gentleman by the name of Juan Lee, just want to share something with you as it relates to business. I was reading in this book called Seeing the Big Picture. And seeing the big picture, there's a quote by Alice McDougall that says, "In business, you get what you want by giving other people what they want." Let me repeat that. In business, you get what you want by giving other people what they want. And it went on to talk about the fact that you have to be intentional about understanding the needs of your clients, of your customers, of your employees if you have employees, and you should be intentional about knowing those needs and meeting them and beating them to the punch, so to speak. They told a story about Nordstrom and how Nordstrom is very uh, intentional about developing their employees and telling their employees that they need to be built up in such a way that they always make the best decision possible. So they talk about this Nordstrom employee in the Seattle area. A customer comes in. There's a particular pair of pants that this customer is trying to purchase, and this particular Nordstrom uh, location does not have the pants that they're looking for. They try 5 other locations in the Seattle area. Nobody has the pants. Now, what would normally happen, at least in my mind, is that be like, well, I'm sorry, we tried to get it for you. There's nowhere that has it. Have a good day. Sorry about that. Nope, that's not what this person does. So this Nordstrom uh, uh, person, employee, realizes, I don't know how they did this. I guess that they have kept up with the times and done their research, which is a whole nother thing to talk about in terms of knowing your competitors, knowing what they're doing, being well versed in everything that's going on with them as well. This employee was that kind of person, knew that across the street, one of their competitors had the pants. So she gets permission from management to take petty cash, go to the competitor across the street, buy the pants, bought the pants at full price from the competitor, and then came back and sold the pants to the customer for the discounted price that they were trying to get. Be intentional about knowing your customer. Be intentional about knowing their needs. Be intentional about serving them in a way that, one, fulfills you because it's about service. Yes, we're trying to build, we're trying to scale, we're trying to get to 6 and 7 figures and all this, talk that you hear people talk about. But at the core of what you're doing is that you're supposed to be serving. And if, and according to Alice, in business, you'll get what you want by giving other people what they want. So that's just something I want to leave you with as you are going through this life of an entrepreneur. Make sure that you are very intentional about having a service mindset, that you're intentional about not only building yourself up, but recognizing the individuals around you, the needs that they have, and being intentional about building them up as well. That's a message to me, folks, and I hope that that's a message to you as well. So listen, no more talking for me. We got a great guest that's coming in. I'm not even going to try to do him justice by introducing him. He's many things, and you'll find out what those things are right now. Listen, let's bring on my friend Juan Lee. Juan Lee, how are you today? Thank you for being here. Thank you for being my guest on this show today.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate this. This is an honor to be here with you.
Man, listen, it's an honor for me. Listen. So let's start here. Who is Juan Lee? Who is Juan Lee? That's a loaded question.
Now, I'm going to lay it all out there for you. I'm first of all, and I guess it's something that has to be very relevant to what we're going to be talking about. I am retired from many other areas of employment. That's the first thing that I'm doing. I'm at a point where I'm starting anew. And 3 years ago, I retired from 32 years of various occupations, one of which was the military, and then I did some other things. But now in this new phase of life, I'm an author, I'm a thought leader, I'm a transformational speaker, and I'm the founder of a nonprofit that supports individuals and families in managing, and learning different things about life, the areas of life, a balanced life, helping people manage in a balanced life. And in the thought leader space, I'm in redefining love into love action, where it's basically how we put love into action. And that's what my nonprofit is basically doing, is making the application of love and putting it into practice in our lives. The thing that you were talking about earlier with that example that you just brought on, man, hope we can get into some more of that as it relates to service, because that's the thing about love, that it's all about service.
Yeah, you're right. And I listen, as I looked through what I was going to say today, I said, you know what? Juan would appreciate this. Juan, Juan would appreciate that level of service where you, first of all, you're so aware of everybody around you, because often here's what happens. That's a competitor, right? So our focus, typically, you're like, okay, we got to make sure we make ourselves as great as possible. So the focus becomes inward as opposed to being outward. They know their competitors. They know the needs of their competitors. They know the inventory of their competitors. They know their surroundings in such a way that they can be of such holistic service to the folk that come into their establishment. And I think that is phenomenal. And that's exactly the type of thing that you exhibit. And we'll talk about that in a second, because
absolutely,
you're the author of a fantastic book, and that kind of lays out these principles on how to really live this out in day-to-day life. Listen, if you're joining us for the first time, this is a video cast, if you will, that is sponsored by Love Entrepreneurs. Love Entrepreneurs is a business fellowship that is designed to help ordinary people build extraordinary businesses. We'll talk a little bit about Love Entrepreneurs and their signature dish called the Big Fix a little later on. But listen, let's jump into this. What was the journey? Because you've had several experiences in life, and you talk about them in your book. What was the journey, the path that led you to where you are right now, to have this passion that you have, that now is being manifested in this nonprofit that you've created? What was the journey?
Well, I mean, hey, my story is basically I have a learning disability, and as a result of that, it was undiagnosed until I was 37 years old.
Hmm.
And that made my experience and journey having to try to sort of blaze my own path, because there I wasn't doing it the way everybody else was doing it. And even as I went through those various careers that I was in, I had to find my way of doing it, which really allowed me to define who I was in that process and not comparing myself to anyone else. And so that was basically how I navigated life, was having to determine and to find out how things work for me, not comparing myself to anybody else. And again, that knowledge that I gained about myself allowed me to learn um, how this thing called life works, and realizing that everybody has their own path if we only understand it and learn it, not being compared to others. And so a few years ago, after actually I was still working, um, I had been writing for years. And when I say writing, I was just journaling. And
Hmm.
I said, whoa, I'm going to write a book, put it in, make it a book. And the one thing that I realized that was so close to me was that I had known that that this thing called love. Love was something that I learned in church, had heard about and had talked about it, but it didn't have this application to it that I could use it. It was like it was this abstract thing.
Hmm.
And when I realized that it was something that I was using, but I had learned in the military how to implement it, because it took a lot of different um, attitudes to be able to manage and to maneuver this great big thing called love. And so that caused me to put those two areas of my life together and think about the book that I wrote, Love Made Simple. And it's the guide to inner peace, contentment, and success. And it was from that perspective I learned that it was something about a balanced life, something that it allowed you to have a balanced life if you had the right attitude. And so the book is about the attitudes of love and the way that we can navigate life in a very holistic way, being balanced. And so that created an avenue for me to create the nonprofit, because my mindset was, how do we get something abstract into something practical?
Mm.
And that was the beginning of the nonprofit that started about 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, shortly after the book was written. And it's about helping people live this balanced life with the attitudes of love.
Wow. That's man, that's great, and I love that you're doing that. Shout out to Gunther, by the way. Gunther says, "Hi guys, happy Independence Day." Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. You'll be hearing. Listen, those of you who are watching, make sure you remember that name. You're going to see that name again because Gunther's going to be a guest on the show at some point as well. I love what you're doing because we often talk about balance or we talk about harmony. There's a phrase that's been tossed around: work life balance. Some people subscribe to it, some people don't. They don't believe it's possible. Some folk have changed the word balance to harmony because harmony is a little bit more all inclusive of what we're trying to do. But often, whether it's work life balance or work life harmony, it's often around the concept of juggling the things that we feel like we need to do to be successful in either one of those areas.
Mhm.
Often there isn't a lot of talk about the underlying characteristics and components that are necessary for you to achieve success in these areas that will then create balance or
Balance.
harmony. And I feel like what you're doing is you're peeling back all the layers and we're
Mhm.
starting at at the foundation.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. Because if we get the right foundation, I think what happens most of the time, we end up reacting instead of preparing to act. And that's the love action. When we act in line with the attitudes of love, we begin to build those foundations up so that when the appropriate time comes in our life, when situations and circumstances and challenges of life come our way, we are prepared for them in a way that we can navigate them. And that's where we really begin to not having to react. We're prepared for the action that we're going to take because we've looked at this thing in a balanced manner, in a balanced way.
I love it. I love it. And for those of you who are watching and listening to this, it's so important that we are being intentional about the foundational things, right? We're talking about the life of an entrepreneur, and it's a journey, right? And a journey, you can liken it to taking a car ride or going on a road trip. You can also liken it to building something. And typically, you don't build something from the top down, you build it from the bottom up. And typically, that bottom is a foundational kind of thing that is constructed in a way that undergirds, yea, supports everything that's going to be built around it. So what why is the action of love and how it is manifested in our lives, how it is brought forth, how we actually actualize it, why is that important in terms of the life of an entrepreneur? Why is it important to get that right?
Well, because you just said it. I mean, everything starts with a foundation, and I think a lot of times, as entrepreneurs, we see the desire to want to be at the end, and we're anxious at getting there. But it's a step-by-step journey. It's a process, and this is not a easy, and I'm not going to say, and life in and of itself is not easy, but an entrepreneur, it's basically having to blaze your own path. And that takes intentionality, but it also takes endurance. It takes tenacity. It takes sacrifice. It takes discipline. It takes responsibility. It takes all of the things of the attitudes of love to be able to navigate this journey, and so that we can keep our eye focused on what it is that we're trying to accomplish. But it's a day by day journey. Being able to be intentional about doing the things each and every day, knowing that it's going to reap the rewards that we're after if we just stay committed. But that's it. It's commitment, and it's being able to be intentional in that thing day by day, week after week, month after month. And it oftentimes, and this is one of the really things right here, is love of entrepreneur. It's something that reinforces and really supports an entrepreneur, because it's a journey. And here's the thing, it's a journey that you can't do by yourself.
Yeah.
You can't do it by yourself. And we need each other. We need one another. And man, that again, like you said, that story that you shared with about Nordstrom, that is an awesome example of how important the organization realizes that the customer is essential to their business. It's essential to their business. They can't do, they look, they can't sell, they can have everything that you need, but if don't nobody buy it, you ain't got no business.
Don't matter. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, I have a tremendous story, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
I had an interview some months ago, and this really rocks to the core of what you're talking about. This man was had a business that he was a consultant, and he consulted for various businesses. And he came and he did his presentation to the company, and everybody loved his presentation. They were crazy about his presentation. But one of the employee of the company that he did the presentation went to the owner of the company and said that they didn't like the name of his organization. It was offensive.
Okay.
His name of his company was offensive. Now, I can't remember the guy's name of his company at the time, but they came back to the guy and he said that they loved him and they really wanted him to work. And he says, but my company is a very diverse company. And your name of your company is offensive to my employees.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think he did?
What did he make an adjustment?
He changed the name of his company.
Wow.
Now, do you know in the day of branding,
What
in
that
the
takes.
day of branding, he changed the name of his company
Wow.
because he
Yeah.
wanted to be unoffensive to his client.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about service. We're
Yeah.
talking about service.
Yeah.
You can't even
That's the
imagine.
epitome of service. Yeah.
You can't imagine what kind of a relationship he just established and microphone that he got from his client
Mm-hmm.
for all the people that they're going to share that with
Right.
because of the care and the concern that he had for his clients.
Yeah. Man, that's good, man. And that's something that as we walk this journey, that it's so imperative that we understand. And the sooner we understand it, the better. Is that it is not about us. Yes, we are building a business. Yes, we want to scale. Yes, we have, this pie in the sky thing is often put in front of us as it relates to what we should be aspiring to in the way of entrepreneurship. But if we don't get this piece right, it doesn't matter how high you soar. If you don't get this piece right, at some point you're going to be out there soaring by yourself or not soaring at all.
I'm of the mindset that you can't soar alone. You can desire to want to be, but if you're not serving, what's your motivation? It really doesn't. Business is about service.
Business is about service.
And
And you
if you're
can't do
not,
it alone.
and you can't, how you going to do? Serve yourself? That's not it. This is really the epitome of what I speak about love and understanding the value and the power of it. It's about connections. That's what business is about, connections. It's about relationships. And that's
Yeah.
what love is. Business, love, entrepreneurs. It's
Yeah.
about relationships.
It's about relationships, and that's a person that's a phenomenal segue into what brings us here, right? This is sponsored by Love Entrepreneurs, and Love Entrepreneurs is that opportunity for you to get into a space where you're not alone, to get into a space where you are being supported, to get into a space where individuals are looking at this from a service mindset. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. I got something I want to ask you, though. You wrote a book. And for all of these folks that are entrepreneurs or not even entrepreneurs, but on their bucket list is, man, I would love to have a book. Excuse me. And we always hear, your book is your calling card. It is your business card. It is your entry point into a lot of other areas. What advice would you give to somebody who's saying, man, I would love to write a book?
I'm going to say, if I can do it, you can do it. There are so many. Understand, I the thing about a learning disability is that it's not something that you get over.
Hmm.
It just makes the journey a little bit more challenging. Okay,
Got
but
you.
but it is. If I can do it, you can do it. And all you have to. There's so many tools today to make it happen.
Hmm.
And here's the thing: remember that you're not in it alone. There are people there that can actually help you through every aspect of it. They can help you through every aspect of it. So don't be intimidated by the thought of being of writing a book, of being an author. If you got the story, there's ways that you can get it out there. You know, as you know, I just published the audiobook,
Mhm.
and you know, because you are the narrator of it. So we're in this thing together. And
Yeah.
so if you really want it to be something that you want to share, something that you want to leave a legacy, leave something for the next generation, and you want to put it in a book, want to put it on audio, today is the time. Now is the time. So, you know, you can do it.
You can do it. Just get started. And I thank you for the opportunity to the privilege of being the voice of that book. Those of you who are Audible subscribers, make sure you go and pick that up. Love Made Simple by Juan Lee,
Mm-hmm.
narrated by yours truly. It was a great experience. So let's let's do this. You've been exposed to this signature dish, if you will, from Love Entrepreneurs called the Big Fix.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk a little bit about your experience with the Big Fix, and we'll talk about some other things in just a moment. But first, I want to share with you all that are watching and listening again that this is sponsored by Love Entrepreneurs. Love Entrepreneurs is a business fellowship. Listen, on this life, and Juan just talked about it. We can't do this thing by ourselves. And it's one thing to be around other people. It's another thing to be around people who actually are invested in your success, who actually want to support you, who actually want to pour into you, who want to give you the tools, who want to give you some perspective around it. And Love Entrepreneurs is that fellowship that does that. Juan has been a part of the Big Fix. I've been a part of the Big Fix. We're going to talk about what the Big Fix is in just a moment. And we're going to talk about how the Big Fix can be beneficial to you as it was to us. But first, before we do that, before we come back and do that, I'm just going to jump into a short promo, if you will, a short testimonial from my good friend Fiona Clark, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Fiona Clark. I'm the Synergizer, and I've been an entrepreneur for quite a few years now. And through that journey, my business has developed, it's changed, it's evolved, as all business does. But what I found was most helpful for me doing the Big Fix was just getting a different perspective on what was possible that I hadn't even thought about. I think there are definitely areas in business where we really excel within our own knowledge and our own mastery, if you like, and there are other areas where we need help. So if you are looking to evolve your business, grow your business, and you are an entrepreneur, the biggest gift you can give to yourself really is to collaborate with other entrepreneurs who understand business, understand the journey, but also are ready to support you where you need it. And this is what this group does. So if you're looking to evolve your business, to grow your business, I highly recommend you join.
That was Fiona Clark talking about her experience with the Big Fix. Now, Juan, you went through this process as well. And just for those of you who may not understand, or and this is your first time watching this, let me give you a short description of what the Big Fix is. The Big Fix is a scenario where you can come in as an entrepreneur. You can lay out your vision. You can lay out your goals as it relates to your business. You can lay out your pain points as it relates to trying to build this thing. You can lay out everything that you have, and a group of individuals will literally rally around you. They will go into breakout sessions with the very specific task of coming up with ideas that will be beneficial to where you're trying to go, coming up with ideas that will give you a fresh perspective, a new perspective, or expand your existing perspective. Then, after you go through that process, you will get a report, a comprehensive report that outlines everything that was talked about, all of the ideas that were shared, all of the visions that were cast. And you have now the opportunity to do one of two things: go forth and be great and implement those things on your own, or you can work with a team of individuals within Love Entrepreneurs to help to implement those things that were shared with you. And here's the kicker: it is free. Yep, that's what you heard. It is free. Matter of fact, we need to applaud for that. It's free. There aren't a lot of things that happen in life that are free, especially at this caliber. So people sometimes will ask, okay, what's the catch? There is no catch. Now, we're very transparent. You have the opportunity now to get with a great group of coaches that can help you implement these things, but you don't have to. We encourage you to, but you don't have to. You can sit in this process and actually experience this for no cost. And Juan, you experienced this. Talk a little bit about your experience with the Big Fix and what that was for you.
I'm going to tell you the number one thing that it did for me, and I'm going to tell you. Look, everything that you said is absolutely correct, but the biggest thing that it did for me, because I'm a thought leader. And there is no necessarily outline for me, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So I'm in the process. I'm in like what they call blue ocean. I'm trying to blaze my own course here. And they gave me some clarity. They gave me some clarity in my business that I had not had. And what they did for me was gave me a strategy to be able to implement my thought leadership and in Clear Journey, being able to bring those two things together so that there is a seamless transition between the two. And let me tell you, I have quoted different organizations to try to do this for me. Mm-hmm. Excessively, it was over $5,000.
Wow.
To give me a strategy to do this. And what you said, they do it for free. They do it for free. Now,
and willingly.
Yes. Now, see, this goes into the love part of entrepreneuring, mm-hmm. because it's about relationships. Because they're offering this to the people to come in and do this for them so that we can establish a relationship.
Right.
Now, here's the trick. Here's the thing about this. Not to say it's a trick, but here's the thing. To have this branding strategy without the ability to implement it, mm-hmm. is like, having, being able to see, but can't reach it.
Yeah.
And so I am, as an example, going to use the services inside of Love Entrepreneur, because they've showed me something that now I think if they had been able to show it to me succinctly, I can agree with it. Now I need them to be able to show me how to do it. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to use their services. I'm going to be willing to use the services inside of I Love Entrepreneur because I see the value of the relationships.
Yeah. I love that you said that too, because here's a beautiful thing about the Love Entrepreneurs space is that you get to do this Big Fix. And shout out to Neil. We put your comment up. Happy Independence Day. Thank you for that, Neil. Thank you for being a part of this experience as well. The great thing about this business fellowship is that, one, you get around some like-minded individuals. They understand that it's a journey, and they understand what a journey entails, and they're willing to support you on yours. Two, you get to sit in this Big Fix, this business mastermind hot seat, if you will,
basically, yeah.
where people are just literally going to pour ideas in. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Mm-hmm. They're going to pour ideas into you. They're going to give you things that you can implement. They're going to give you strategies that worked for them. They're going to give you strategies that maybe they never even thought about, but as they listen to you, they're like, wait a minute, this could work. and it could work for them as well. And then you have individuals in every industry that are a part of this fellowship, so that everything you need to implement, you can actually find in house. And we'll talk about this in some upcoming episodes, but there's also a way that you can do it without having to use all cash. That's a whole nother situation that we'll talk about. But I love that you said that. I love that that was your experience. Your experience mirrors mine as well, and many of the others who have gone through this big fix. So I'm going to say to you guys who are watching this, if you want to be a part of this, if you're not sure you want to be a part of it, but you want to just listen in and just contribute some ideas, reach out to either one of us. If you're on LinkedIn, you can find us there, or wherever social media platform you happen to be watching this. You can reach out to either myself or reach out to Juan and say, hey, listen, what's this big fix thing all about? I want to check it out. And we'll make sure that you are exposed to it. And I promise you, you'll have some of the same reactions that everybody else has had that's talked about this so far on The Life of an Entrepreneur. Listen, I want to talk a little bit about Clear Journey, because Clear Journey is doing some great things and is set up in a way that is really service oriented and really equipping individuals with the tools that they need to create a balanced life. Talk a little bit about Clear Journey, the vision behind it, how individuals can get involved with it, and what's the purpose of this organization?
Well, yeah, thanks. Well, Clear Journey, again, we are an organization, basically an educational organization. We're trying to equip people with the skills to navigate life successfully. And we use it through a balanced approach, looking at the various areas of life. You know, one of the areas that we talk about is health. And when we talk about health, we're talking about it holistically. And just for that, in that area, in September, we will be having a webinar, and it's basically about the bonds of a healthy family. And so if you're looking to learn more about your mental health, relationships, and the other part of that is your nutrition and exercise. These are all parts and the components of living a healthy life that bonds the family. The family is the core of our experience here on this life experience. And so if we can, through a healthy approach, not only individually, it then goes down into our families. And so we can then begin to support each other in our families, because you're not having to struggle with various health issues and things like that. But that's what we do. And if you would like to learn more about it, go to clearjourney.org and find out more about us. We're looking for support and more strategic partners to support us with it. But by all means, we're here to educate and to serve our communities locally and abroad.
That's awesome. I love it. And I love that there is an organization that exists to do that. Now talk about the strategic partners piece. What type of strategic partners are you looking for? There may be individuals who watch this now or watch the replay and say, hey, you know what? I think there's some synergy here and some alignment. What kind of strategic partners are you looking for?
Well, we're looking for people that deal with those areas, those 8 areas of life we're talking about. Like, for instance, health is one of them. We're looking for relationship counselors or consultants. We're looking for business, like this, people who are in business that can help people build careers. We're looking for self-development. We're looking for people who are in recreation and fun, because balanced life requires some recreation and fun.
Mm-hmm.
And
Indeed.
Also, we're talking about finances, which is essential for everything. Everything requires goal setting, finances. These are things that, as we prepare ourselves to live this balanced life, allow us to be able to, confront challenges prepared for it. And finances is one of the bigger things that we want to stress. And so if you have an expertise in finances and any of these areas, reach out. We're looking for strategic partners that can support us. We have quarterly webinars. And the next one, like I said, it's going to be on September the 16th. So if you're interested, we will be putting out campaign information about this particular webinar, starting at probably late in this month or early August, but it will be the 16th of August. The 16th of September. And we look forward to anyone. Please, we're going to look to register. Come on out, support us. And we're here to support you.
I love it. And I'll put up, let me put up the email address. We'll put this up again near the end. Make sure I got it right here. If you want to reach out to Juan, you can reach out to Juan at juan@clearjourney.org, and we'll throw that up again near the end. Listen, before we get out of here, I want you to give two pieces of advice. And those two pieces of advice are, one, to someone who is this journey, this life of an entrepreneur. It's from the outside looking in, seems kind of sexy, seems kind of appealing. I think I want to jump the broom, so to speak, into this space. What advice would you give to that person? That's the first piece of advice. The second piece of advice is for the individual who is looking at the nonprofit space and wants to kind of dip their toe, but not really sure what that's all about. A piece of advice for that person as well.
Okay, for the first one who wants to get into this entrepreneur thing, is that you got to love it. You got to really want to do it. It is the most fulfilling experience, but you've got to love it. You got to love it, because the challenges is what makes it so rewarding, but the challenges never cease. They never cease. And you've got to be willing to want to go through it because you love it so much. You've got to have a passion for what it is that you do, because it's not about it's not a short journey. It's the long journey. I'm saying this over maybe the 3 years that I've been through it, because I tell you, so many times you want to quit. you want to quit. But the one thing that keeps you wanting to continue is the love of what it is that you're desiring to do. And that's to make an impact. It's trying to impact the lives of others. That's what this thing is all about. This service is all about impacting others. When you see businesses come in and come and go, it's the impact is not there. They're not looking to do the impact thing, because the impact is that's what you're looking to accomplish. And that's not a short time. That's not a short version and not a short journey. It's a continual. And the other one, I think you said, what was it? The last one you said was the person who's
interested in the nonprofit space.
The nonprofit space. I'm gonna tell you, the nonprofit space is here's the thing that you need to realize about the nonprofit space, is that the nonprofit space is a designation of a business. It's a designation of a business. It needs to be operated like a business. It is a business. Don't think of it as something other than that. It's not something that requires you to not to produce a profit. You've got to be able to understand that you're providing a service that is going to have to produce a profit. Now, that profit on the side of the nonprofit, it's to put back into the service of the nonprofit. But everything that you do operate it the same way. It's the motivation is different.
Got you.
In business, you're talking about a bottom line as it relates to profits. In a nonprofit, the bottom line is the ability to make changes in our community. That's the bottom line. So all of the resources that you would have put in to get to that bottom line with the finances, you put the same type of resources into making the bottom line, solving an issue or promoting something that's in the interest of others. So it's just a mindset thing, but it operates the same way. Both of them have a bottom line. It's just that one is monetary and the other one is service. The service, the outcome is a service to people that makes a difference. Is the impact. That's why I chose to do it that way, because that's all I want to do. I mean, to be honest with you, that's all I want to do is to make an impact, make a difference. Because like I said, I'm not at that space where the financial impact is as relevant to me as it is most entrepreneurs in this space. For instance, authors and things like that, hey, you got to do it. But when you're talking about what I'm doing and the way I'm doing it, the nonprofit space was the place that I wanted to be.
Okay. That's good. I'm speaking this prematurely, but I'm speaking it so that it will kind of encourage, force me to put it together. I think I'd like to do a panel at some point for the life of an entrepreneur around the logistics as it relates to putting a nonprofit, standing up a nonprofit. I think there are individuals, many individuals, even myself included, who are interested in this space, but from a logistics standpoint, may not be as well versed in what it looks like to stand that up. And I'm gonna put you on the spot since you're here. I would love for you to be a part of that panel once it's put together.
That's great. I mean, because I'm gonna tell you, I needed help, and again, I had looked out for resources as to how to make this happen, because I knew this was the way I'm going. And there's so many different perspectives when it comes into the nonprofit space. It's just as to how you structure it, and there are organizations out there that can help you do that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Listen, I am so grateful for you being a part of this experience today and coming and sharing your journey, sharing your story, sharing the wisdom around what we need to be intentional about. I love that because it's very foundational. Sometimes we want to skip to the front of the line and we don't have what we need when we get to the front of the line. And what you're doing is preparing individuals to holistically be prepared to navigate this life, whether it be the life of an entrepreneur or just life in general, in a way that is going to be beneficial to them. Speaking of life, shameless plug, my good friend Juan and I have a podcast called It's Life. And Juan, how can they talk about how people can get in touch with you, how they can connect with you, and talk about how they can listen to the podcast as well?
Hey, the podcast is it's on YouTube channel. It's Juan Lee, the author. And it's also on Spotify, and it's called It's Life. And it's basically Oliver and I just bringing up topics that are having to do with life. And encompassed with that are those 8 areas that we talk about in Clear Journey as it relates to how we navigate this thing called life in spite of the various challenges that we come up with. And one of the key words that we oftentimes use is perspective. This thing called life is based on perspective. And as a result of it, when we come into connection with one another, we have a difference of opinions based on our perspectives. And so It's Life is just we airing those various perspectives out. And so you can every 2 weeks we have a new one that's being released. I think this past week we had a double hitter. Is a part 1 and a part 2, so it came out on Friday and Saturday. So by all means, you can go to the website, juanleetheauthor.com, get my book, Love Made Simple. But you can also go to my YouTube channel, Juan Lee Author, and see all of the videos of its life. So yeah, and again, you can reach out to me on any of the social media platforms. I'm at Juan Lee Author, and also by all means, you can find me at clearjourney.org.
Awesome. So make sure you're checking out Juan at clearjourney.org. You can also email him at juan@clearjourney.org. Make sure you're checking out everything that Clear Journey is doing. You're subscribing to the YouTube channel.
Yes.
You're listening to the podcast. You're supporting Clear Journey because Clear Journey is looking for your support, your dollar support as well.
Absolutely.
And so be aware of that and do accordingly. Listen, Juan, thank you so much again for the opportunity to hang out with you. I'm going to put you backstage for a second. Don't leave yet because I want to say a few words to you before at the end of the show. But we're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much again. We appreciate it. Listen, Juan Lee is in the house today.
Thanks for having me, Oliver.
Absolutely, man. We'll talk in just a moment. All right.
Gotcha.
Listen, that was Juan Lee, and you heard it. It's about service. We started off the show talking about service and being intentional about understanding the needs of your clients, of your customers, of your employees if you have a team, and the intentionality that is paramount, not only to your success but to theirs as well. And so Juan talked about that, and I love what he is doing. Listen, get the book Love Made Simple. And listen, if you just happen to like this voice, like this person who's talking to you right now, get the Audible version because you're going to hear this voice again. Shameless plug. I had the great opportunity and privilege of being the voice of this book. Listen, I'm your host. This is The Life of an Entrepreneur. I'm Oliver Marcel. I am an author, speaker, and coach in the relationship building and men's empowerment spaces. It is my goal to do what's on my t-shirt. My t-shirt says 2020 before hindsight. Shameless plug. If you want one, I can get you one. Reach out to me. I can get you one. And I've learned some things in hindsight, whether it be on this Life of an Entrepreneur, whether it be just my life in general. There's some things that I learned in hindsight, and that's okay. But my goal is to provide some level of clarity on the front end. If I can get you to 2020 before you actually have to go through some things that will throw off the trajectory of your life in one way or another, that is my life's goal. And this is sponsored by Love Entrepreneurs, which is a business fellowship that is just completely interested and gung-ho and intentional about helping ordinary people build extraordinary businesses using the big fix. If you're interested in you getting a big fix for yourself or listening in on a big fix, you can reach out to me. And my email address is on the screen under my name there, but I'll put it up big so you can see it. Reach out to me. Tell me you want to get a big fix. Reach out to Juan. Tell Juan you want to get a big fix. And we can make that happen for you. My man, Damon Braxton, is in the house. Great content, bro. He says, thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you for being a part of this as well, man. Shout out to Damon. Damon is doing is going to be doing some big things. You'll hear about that. So shout out to Damon and everything that's going on. Damon is embarking on the life of an entrepreneur. So that's awesome, man. That's my guy. Shout out to Neil and Gunther, who are also in the comments as well. Listen, remember that it's about service. Today is Independence Day in the United States. With Independence Day comes some very crucial things around our independence and what that means. And having been given that independence, what is our duty? And I'm just going to wrap it up the way we started. Be intentional about understanding the needs of the folk that are around you and serving them in a way that speaks highly of the independence that you've been given. That's the life of an entrepreneur. We're going to be back again next week with another phenomenal conversation. And until then, I'm Oliver Marcel, and it's a journey. Enjoy the journey. We'll see you next time.